it's estimated there are 100 million people in the U.S. who are sleep deprived. Why is that important? Well, it turns out that if you're sleep deprived, you have far more endocrine problems, which includes hypoglycemia, includes diabetes, includes 40 times more depression. And the best time to sleep is between 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. That's the optimal time for building your immune system, building your serotonin system, which is your stress network, neurochemical stress network system. So sleep is very important. Nurturing, touching. Good food. Love. These are important things. Go on. Now what we're going to do is show you this movie, 8 minutes, what happened at the Tree of Life, and at some point this movie will come out. I'm sure that some of us know the feeling of that resistance that's part of the process. We call it the dark chocolate side of healing. And it shows that. Now, these people, just to get a perspective, when you have diabetes and it's affecting you, your mind isn't clear. They were like a herd of cats at the beginning. I'm trying to work with a herd of cats. They couldn't, most of them couldn't walk 50 yards. The reason that scene at the end was so important is that that's a 1,000-foot mountain, 2,000-foot mountain that they had climbed up. 6,000 feet high. And they were at the top of the mountain. That was very symbolic. Just to give you a little feeling, okay, the one that was looking for the lantern, he came in at, he lost 32 pounds in the 1 month on live foods. He lost, all his chemistries went to normal, his foot returned to normal, his blood sugar dropped to 88. It was above 300 when he came in. So he was basically healed. Later, 2 years later, he came back for a fast, and his blood sugar stays the same. But then, Afro-American man who was type 1 diabetes, he had been hospitalized at 1,200 blood sugar. 1,200? That's off the scales, okay? He, after 2 weeks, he was off his insulin in 4 days, but after 2 weeks, his blood sugar was running 70 to 80. Okay? Now, the American Diabetic Association says basically 100 or less is normal. And we're actually, that's not what Gabriel's telling. We don't really teach that. 85 or less is what we're going for because the pancreas stops making insulin at 85. At 83, but we say 85. It's a rounded number. And why is that? Well, they did a study. It was a 20-year study with 2,000 men, and anyone with 86 or more, on the average, had 40% more heart disease or heart attacks after 20 years. Follow what I just said there? So even if your blood sugar is 86 or 87, you've already started the process of the degeneration or the accelerated aging because you're moving into insulin resistance. So please understand when they say, oh, diabetes, that's the kind of the end result. But there's this whole other process of what we call insulin resistance. And that begins when your blood sugar is going above 86. Okay, so it's a new way of thinking about it. So we're not looking at, when you're already careening out of control, but we're also saying, wow, your blood sugar is above 86. You know that your rate of aging is accelerating. Your blood vessels are deteriorating. Your eyes will be deteriorating. Your kidneys will be deteriorating. Okay, that's what we're talking about. And guess what? Twice as much Alzheimer's. If you are type 2 diabetic, you will have twice as much Alzheimer's. Well, circulation decreases everywhere, right? Including your brain. And for men, you're talking about very significant rates of impotency. It's all the same thing. Decrease your circulation, brain, heart, kidneys, they're all affected. So this is accelerated aging. That's what diabetes really is. Okay, now, breaking the 4-minute mile. How many people remember Roger Bannister? There's a few people. Most people, it's a different generation. But in 1956, he broke the 4-minute mile. He just didn't listen to what people were telling him. Humans can't run faster than 4 minutes. Now what? High school kids are doing it. It's a mental state. And the significance of what this book is about, because we really outline it in detail, and the work about is how do we break the 4-minute mile of diabetes. It's broken. It's done. We want to give options to people. If only 1% of the people, listen, we're talking about 750,000 people. That's a lot of lives to get saved. And that begins to change the world. Okay, 2%, 1.5 million people. That's a significant amount of people. So we don't expect in a certain way that everybody's going to follow us. And the truth is, we're not concerned. Because if we can say we'll have 750,000 people or 1.5 million people, and start getting people thinking about this is good. Because live foods is the Garden of Eden diet. God had an idea that was pretty good. What's it? Genesis 1:29. Behold, I've given you every seed-bearing plant and the fruit of seed-bearing trees. To you they shall be for food. All we're doing is going back. No new ideas here. We're just going back to the original template because we were designed to work on that kind of diet. And as you saw in the little film, there's a natural resistance. We like to be in our comfort zone. We understand that. Okay? And it takes time. And by the end, people were mentally clear, as you saw. They could do, physical feats. This guy's foot is working. He actually had severe neuropathy. He couldn't feel his foot. He couldn't feel his scrotum. He really was pre-Alzheimer's. His mind got clear. Many, many good things happened. This is what we see on My Foods. And that energy, that positive energy. So these are real things that happen for people. And we just saw a speeded up version of what Brian is teaching to you here. What we teach at the Tree of Life out in Patagonia, Arizona. And it's based on our experience. We see what happens to people. And I'm sure all of you, if you stay with it long enough, will see what happens for you as well. And as you may have heard, it's 80% will get those results. But we start people who are diabetic on 100% because you're really way out of balance. You've got to do something different to make this work. And then after 3 months, when things are normal, for 3 months, and what we call it your glycosylated hemoglobin. How many people know what that is? Okay. Well, we'll explain that right now so you get that.